Hey guys, I wanted to come on and chat with y'all for a few minutes about some things that I'm seeing online that have me incredibly concerned about our kids and about us. I will say this, it is not lost on me, given what I do, that when people make political commentary or an appeal or whatever through a quick video or Facebook post or whatever, that it's going to affect massive change. That's not lost on me. I used to fall into that trap years ago of political commentary, and I quickly realized that why? It doesn't really, you do get your voice heard, but it doesn't really necessarily always affect massive change. However, given what I do every day, and given that my job is to protect our kids, which is the premise of my business, it's what I base my business on, and because of everything that I've been seeing and noticing and how it is affecting our children and what I am seeing in that space, I felt that it was very important that I come on here and have a very real, honest conversation amongst adults. Some of this will pertain to you, some of it will not pertain to you, some of us you will know someone, you may not know anyone, I may make some of you mad, that's not my point. But I've always promised to be very open and honest and real with you, and there are some things that I'm seeing that's affecting our children that I want to discuss, and it's affecting our children online. So, over the last 6 months, since the pandemic hit, since political things, were haywire before and now they're really haywire, since we started talking about mask wearing, not mask wearing, talking about school, no school, the amount of anger, the amount of bullying, the amount of meanness, the amount of people trying to eviscerate literally one another online has gone through the roof. It has just continued to get worse and worse and worse. Every time I log on, I am noticing adults bully one another. I am noticing all of this mean, hateful language amongst adults. Smart, intelligent parents. Adults, adult humans that are being mean to one another. One of the things that I teach your children, that I teach my children, that I teach all kids when I go into the school systems is how not to bully one another. Suicide right now, this was a statistic that came out last year, and I'm sure that it still holds true, is the second leading cause of death. Suicide. Among our teens and our young adults. Cyberbullying is directly related to that number. Not the main reason, but a huge, huge, huge portion of it. So kids being mean to one another online is the reason why children are taking their lives. It's the reason why we are losing our teens and our young adults, because children and teens are trying to eviscerate one another because of a pack mentality. They are mean to one another online. On some level, I get it. They don't have the impulse control that you and I have as adults. And when I say you, please, I'm not pointing to you, I mean us generally. They feel very passionate about things, which is wonderful and exactly how it should be. We want them to be passionate. We want them to have opinions. We want them to want to be a part of something. That's how change happens. Clearly, I'm triggered on all of this today for whatever reason after watching all of this happen for 6 months, but many times a trigger is a catalyst for change. So our kids get triggered very easily. What I am noticing, though, however, in the last 6 months is adults being triggered very easily. And instead of us using our coping skills to be able to navigate those conversations and we are unable to have open, honest, kind communication with one another. I am watching every day adults beat each other up for wearing a mask or for not wearing a mask. I am watching every single day parents beat one another up over the decision if you decided to put your child in virtual or public or private school or whatever that looks like. By the way, whatever decision you make for your children and for your family is the right decision. Right decision. Because that is the decision that you make for your home. It is nobody else's business what you decide to do in your own home with your children when it comes to school. But yet somehow we've taken it upon ourselves, because of everything that is going on, to feel that we have free reign to be mean to one another. So instead of lifting one another up, we are being hateful and argumentative. And while I want you to feel passionate about things, I want you to feel passionate about causes the exact same way that I want our children and our teens to feel passionate about causes. That's how things get changed. That's how things get done. There's a way to do that without being horrible to one another, without calling each other names. I teach every single school that I go into, from 6 years old all the way through college. Do not call one another names. Words have meaning. Words provide emotion. Words can change someone. Words can change the world. But how we speak to one another matters. So I teach our kids to be kind. I teach our teens to be kind to one another. But then I log on and I see intelligent parents, adults, calling one another names. I am not a sheeple. I am not a sheep. I do not run around every single day with fur on and furry little ears and a furry little tail. You do not either. I am a human. You are a human. You're also not a wolf or a snake or a bear or a coyote or any kind of animal. We are humans. So there is zero reason for us to call one another names. And here's why I'm so angry about that. Adults can handle that. We need to figure out a way to be able to handle that. But our children are watching. Our children know what we are saying, and we are supposed to lead by example. So if we are being keyboard warriors to attack someone, to attack another adult, our children are seeing that. And if you think for a single second that your child cannot find you on Facebook or Snapchat or Instagram or any of those platforms that you might be on, they'll find you in 2 seconds. Because if they can find and navigate the 14 levels of Snapchat to be able to meet someone in Minnesota they've never spoken to and navigate for them to be able to come and meet them in real life, I promise you it'll take them 2.2 seconds to find your account online. So if you have not already given them access, they've given themselves access to what you are doing. My child watches my Instagram like a hawk. He tells me if he doesn't like what I'm saying. So they are seeing what we are saying. How are we leading? If we are calling people names and they see that, can we then get mad at them when they are making inappropriate comments or they are making inappropriate posts on their own social media? We cannot, if we are not leading by a great example. Now, we are human and things happen. But we as adults also have impulse control that our children do not have. And so I am so sick and so disheartened and so disappointed that every time I log on, I am watching people eviscerate one another, and our children continue to watch that. The other thing that I teach our children is you become who you surround yourself with, and the words that you speak are who you are. They represent you. They represent you as a person. I teach that all the time. So how are we representing ourselves online? Are we proud of that? Would we be proud of our child saying the same thing that we are saying on their own platform? If they are mean to another child, do we get on to them for bullying that child? But then if we go to look at our own social media platform, are we exhibiting the same behavior that we just discussed with our child? It doesn't make it any better once we get older. It actually makes it worse. So what are we representing? Are they proud of us? Are they going to be proud of us? You guys, they are the next generation. We are raising them. So what are we raising for the next generation? What example are we setting? We have an amazing opportunity here to set a wonderful example. But if we are teaching our children to be full of hate, if we are teaching them through our actions to be keyboard warriors, to be brave behind a screen, what is going to happen with the next generation? What is that going to look like? How are they going to represent themselves? Does the hate continue? If you think things don't happen generation after generation, that is generational. I've been a social worker my whole life. Give me a call, we'll chat. I'll tell you how it happens. Here's one of my biggest concerns. You guys, I get we are exhausted, we are stressed, we are trying to figure out school, we are trying to navigate work, we are trying to, how do we keep our kids healthy? We're navigating a pandemic, and it is exhausting and stressful, and it is every day, and it feels like it does not end. But all that anger that we are feeling that is surrounding a lot of that stuff, if we are taking that anger and then forcing it onto a keyboard, forcing it onto our screens at one another for that little space of time that we have that might be free during the day, instead of spending it with our children and talking to them about how their school's going or how they're doing with their devices or doing a random device check or checking in with them, if we are taking that little space of time to be angry with one another all of the time, our children are getting lost. And they are 100% the casualty of this pandemic. I said it 6 months ago. I'm going to say it today. It's going to be worse than a year. Because here's what is happening. While we are so caught up, again, you guys, do not misunderstand me here. Good reason to be distracted with all the things I talked about, except where we are being keyboard warriors. That is not okay. So while we are being distracted with that, and if we are experiencing our own bad behavior online, our children, if they have an unrestricted device, they've had 6 months of 12 to 14 hours a day that they can just scroll and do whatever they want to do. They're looking at what you're doing. They're also looking at what all these other adults are doing. They're also probably looking at inappropriate content. And maybe they're okay right now, but maybe they're not. Maybe we have a son that starts a pornography habit over this interim because we are too distracted to dig in for a few seconds and have a conversation with him about what he is looking at. And maybe that's okay kind of right now, but maybe in 4 years that behavior is so bad he can't pull it back. Maybe you have an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old that has unrestricted device time, or we haven't checked their phone, and maybe they are looking at inappropriate content that we can't pull back. Then we've got to have a very adult conversation with them. Take 60 seconds, pull up TikTok. You'll see what your 8-year-old does not need to see. Then they become the casualty of all of this. And maybe that's not felt immediately. I'm going to retract that. It is felt immediately. If they've had 12, 14 hours a day of unrestricted time, when they go to sit their heinies in a chair next week and talk to a teacher and have to sit still and listen and learn, it is going to be incredibly, incredibly hard. You guys, I'm guilty too. I let my son have more time this summer on their devices. I understand that part. What I don't understand is not digging in and then us being so mean to one another as adults and then expecting our children to do different. So they become the casualty of this pandemic. They do not know how to appropriately navigate it. They're not going to appropriately navigate their social media by themselves. They do not have the capacity. And if every single day they see us fighting with one another, if they see us not having the ability to control meanness to one another, that eventually becomes who they are as well. So what do? I'm incredibly worried, and I don't have, this is already 15 minutes long, I don't have 3 hours or 12 days or whatever I need to be able to tell you guys what I am seeing every single day with kids. I can tell you this, predator behavior is up, sex trafficking is up. Why? Because we hit a pandemic. What happened during the pandemic? Our kids got on devices. When they got on devices, a lot of it was unrestricted. When it's unrestricted, they're looking for connections because they are locked down, and you can take it from there. I need your help. What I am asking you to do for me is to please stop being mean to one another. Stop calling each other names. Live by example online, the example that you want to be proud of, that you want your children to be proud of. An example that you know they will follow, and they're going to follow your lead online. We've got kids right now that are being denied entrance to colleges, that are being denied scholarships, that are being denied jobs because of the things they are saying and posting online. If they are learning that behavior from us, can we blame them? We can't. I need your help. I feel very strongly, clearly, about protecting our kids. I feel very strongly about the space that they are sitting in, that none of us want to be in. There's a lot of things that are out of our control. We can't control this pandemic. We can't control who gets sick and who doesn't. We can't control a lot of things right now. But what we can control is how we present ourselves online and make sure that we are amazing role models for our children. It's okay to be passionate. I'm not saying don't have interest and don't have discussions about things that you're passionate about causes you're passionate about. Clearly, I want you to be able to do that. I'm sitting here discussing this with you. But have an open conversation. Have an open discussion. Have one where if your child logs on and sees your comment, they're like, okay, Mom handled that really well. Oh, wow. Dad didn't agree, but dang, he he made a pretty cool comment there. And then we can always agree to disagree and move on. The other thing that I teach children all the time is that you do not have to comment on everything that you disagree with. If you feel so passionately that it triggers you and you feel that you're going to be hateful, then maybe we move on. Maybe we refocus somewhere else. Maybe we find another outlet. I am seeing our children drown every day. I am seeing children go missing every day. Right now, every other day, my inbox has messages of kids that are taken or that are missing. Many, 90% of the time it's due to social media because they met someone online, because we missed it. Maybe we're too busy arguing with one another. You're not a bad person because you wear a mask. You're not a bad person because you don't. You're not a bad person because you chose virtual school for your kid. You're not a bad person because you chose public school for your kid. You're not a bad person because you're a Democrat. You're not a bad person because you're a Republican. None of these things make you a bad person. And you certainly do not deserve someone calling you names or you calling someone names because of how you feel about their personal choice. Our children are seeing the hate online. They're watching a pandemic unfold and they are disconnected. They need a safe space. They need to see us united as adults. They need to see us having conversations. They need to feel supported. They need to feel loved. They need to feel safe right now. And that may be a hard thing for us to do as parents because online is noisy and hot and there's a lot of issues. But as parents, we do hard things. It's what we do. We take care of our kids. So I'm asking you to please, if you know someone that is struggling with the comments they're making, if you're struggling, this is also for me, myself, to make sure I remind myself daily. You guys, I see stuff all the time that triggers me. I just don't say anything. Before you post, do this for me. Think, would my kid be proud of me? And 10 years from now, would I be proud of me? I am here for you guys. I will always be your biggest advocate. I will always be in support of you as parents. I will always bring you the best, most up-to-date, real information that I can to help you protect your kids. Always. That's not going to go away. I'm also a huge advocate for children. I have been an advocate for children since I was 15 years old, when I was a kid myself. That is ingrained incredibly deep. So I promise to bring you the information that you need to protect your kids. I promise to continue to educate them. But what I am asking you to do is this. Please help me in the space of being kind online. Be kind to one another. Recognize the space that you're in. And let's do things that we're proud of. If you need help, I am here. Call me, text me, message me. School has started. I know it's difficult. There's a lot of things to navigate in the social media space. So I am here, but I just wanted to share that with you guys. I know that we can do better. I know we can.